You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand completely. So this is what Ben Feingold he talks about this. He talked about this many times. He says it's not a problem when you do something wrong because you don't know, you just don't know better. You just don't have the understanding of the position, and you play the wrong move because you don't understand the position. It's not a problem. It's your level. But the problem is when you do things you know are bad and you're still doing them. So I think your problem, you said correctly, your problem is the second problem, and all mistakes I saw in your games are things you already know. So you just need to apply them. I mean, it's not like you just need. I mean, you need lots of practice. But let's go through the game, and I will. Well, I can prove you. I can now prove you that you know all the mistakes you did, and why they are done. And also when you analyze your games. So this is where this analysis part comes. So your goal when analyzing your games, you need to focus on this second kind of mistakes. So to correct first type of mistakes, you have to read the book. But when you analyze your games, you have to see, okay, I violated, for example, I played with the same piece twice in the opening, and I know this. You know you don't need the new knowledge. I mean, you already know that you are not supposed to do it, but you did it nevertheless, and you should focus on this kind of errors and just tell yourself, okay, next time I will not do this. So when analyzing your games, use your current knowledge and try to find the mistakes given your current knowledge. This is the advice I can give you.
Yep.
Okay, so let's go to this game. So I think in the first game, so you violated some opening principles, and also I noticed that you tend to play with pawns too much. So I think I probably mentioned this saying by Grandmaster Jesse Cry. He says pawns are not people.
Right.
So the pawns, especially at our level. So the job of the pawns are to allow pieces to be active and to play actively. So this is all the pawns are for. So you should always give precedence to, if you're thinking about moving a pawn or moving a piece, always give precedence to the piece. So maybe this is also good, something you should do. Okay, so let's go to game e6. Okay, d4. I looked at this game. Just turn the engine, we'll turn it off if need be. Okay, c4, knight f6. This is okay. Knight c3, c5. Okay, so this is the first pawn move, which I mean, I don't see a reason for this pawn move. Your goal, just according, and you know this already, so you should castle as soon as possible, and you should develop your pieces. So your goal should be just to, here in this position, just develop the pieces. Don't worry about pawns, and don't be focused on pawn play. Be focused on the piece play. So this is your goal. So very, very simple. And if you look at the database, you can see that c5 is playable, but it's only like sixth move. So most of the moves are with pieces. Okay, c6, piece. So most of the moves are with pieces. But okay, c5 is playable, but it's just okay. C takes d5, e takes d5, okay. E takes d5, e takes d5, okay. Yeah, now again, so again a pawn move. So first of all, so this is just basic principle. So you should develop your pieces. So you can see that he has, well, as a result of your pawn play. So you developed one piece, and then you're just playing with pawns. And as a result, so on move 7, already you have only one developed piece, and he has 3 developed pieces.
Wow, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, so this is, I mean, if you look the games by Adolf Anderson, he'll probably by move 7 he'll have all the pieces developed and castled and centralized groups and everything. Yeah, so yeah. This is the problem. And so what is the cause of this problem? Playing with the pawns instead of playing with the pieces. So yeah. So now you have only one piece developed. This is the problem. And also another thing. So this is something you know, and thing which maybe you don't know is regarding the tension. So there is one. It's always better to keep the tension as long as you can, because whoever breaks the tension gives the other one the advantage. So, for example, you broke the tension here by taking, and he improved his knight. So his third rank knight became fourth rank knight. So his knight is improved. So this is why. And also, if he breaks the tension, then your bishop is improved. So it's better to keep the tension. So this is one. And another principle about tension is something I recently learned myself. Is you have to ask yourself which pawn has more options. So this pawn has two options. He can go forward and he can capture. And this pawn, sorry, and his pawn has only one option. He can only capture. So this makes this pawn of more value because it has two options. And this has only one option. So
I'm trading a less valuable pawn for a more valuable pawn.
Yeah, this pawn is more valuable because you can go here or here. So this is all.
And at the same time, I'm giving him an opportunity to improve a piece. So for two different reasons, that's a bad move.
Yeah. So don't break the tension if you don't have some concrete gain out of it, and especially if your pawn is better because your pawn has two options.
Yeah, right.
So this is one thing.
And even more, especially if you're in the opening and you haven't developed your pieces yet.
Yeah. So the third reason is actually the most important reason. Don't play with pawns in the opening. Play with the pieces. So bring the pieces out.
And I've heard Jesse Cry say pawns are not people 10 times, and I wasn't thinking about it.
Yeah. This is his theory that you don't need. For example, if you have isolated in some openings, he has this French lecture. So you have isolated c3 pawn, and this isolated c3 pawn dominates the knight. So if you have isolated pawn here and black knight is here, then he's talking about don't worry about this. It doesn't matter that this pawn is weak. This pawn is dominating the knight, and this is more important. So it's just a kind of example. But he always says that you should not be focused on pawns. You should be focused on pieces, and you should move pawns only to improve your pieces. So every pawn move has to have justification in improving your pieces. Of course, in the middle game and in the end game, it's a different story. Okay. So like I said, he has three pieces out. You have one. Okay, now you are developing. Okay, and now again a pawn move. So you made one piece move, and now you went back to the pawn moves. So again, not a good idea to play with the pawn because this is not an urgent. I mean, this is okay move, but you can play it later. So it's much more important now to castle and to develop your pieces, wherever. Okay. So another pawn move. Okay. Development. This is fine. Okay, now there is this tension about this pawn. Okay.
Yeah, I remember in this game, both of us, my opponent and I, both spent a lot of time focused on the d5 pawn.
Yeah. So you probably wanted to trade this knight because of this.
Yeah, or at least to pin it. Yeah.
Yeah, but at this moment, this pawn is secure. So, I mean, even if you have to lose the pawn, because you can see what happened. Now you're playing with the same piece twice, and not just that, but you started with the bishop on f8, and then you played 1, 2. You finally captured. I remember. So 3 moves. So you waste 3 moves to capture a piece which moved only once. So you're giving him 2 tempi, and the one pawn is worth 3 tempi. So you're basically it will be better to lose this pawn than to do all this.
Wow.
So 1, 2, 3 moves, and so of course you're moving the same piece twice, and you know you're not supposed to do this, and now you capture. Yeah. So you spend lots of moves, and now you can see the consequence. All his pieces are developed. He castled. He has only one move to complete his development. He has to move the queen, and then his rooks are connected, and he's done. And this is also how can you count tempi. So you can see who has the advantage in opening by counting how many moves does it take to connect the rooks. So you need one, two, sorry, you need one, you need to move this, 2, 3 moves to connect the rooks, and he needs only one. So he's two tempi up, and this is exactly because of this. Sorry. So these are these 2 tempi you gave him. Okay. So castles, queen b3.
So that was a nice move, I think, because it's kind of pinning my c8 bishop, at least temporarily, and it's further attacking my d5 pawn, and it's doing the one move that he needed to connect his rooks.
Yeah. So now his development is complete. Yeah, and he's doing this with some pressures. Yeah, attacks. Okay. So this is okay. Knight to a5, hitting the queen. But now, I mean, okay, knight to a5. This is knight on the rim. Okay, this comes with the tempo, but you have to keep in mind that this knight is not a good piece here. So
when I reviewed this game, I noticed that Stockfish was saying knight to c4.
Yeah.
For like 5 moves.
Yeah. So this is if you remember this Reti. Have you read the Reti book? Let me just. Do you know this book, this Reti, Master of the Chessboard?
Not really.
So he explains this, and I think Spassky also talks about this very interesting concept. So he's saying when your opponent has isolated pawn, it's not the pawn which is weakness, but the square in front of the pawn is weak. So when your opponent has isolated pawn, your attention should be in the square in front of the isolated pawn. This is the weak square, not the pawn itself. So instead of attacking the pawn, you should attack or try to occupy the square in front of the pawn.
Because by definition, that
this is a
square is going to be an outpost.
Yeah. So an ideal piece to occupy this square is knight. You know that knight is best in front of the pawn. So he has isolated pawn. So immediately you have to look at the square in front of the pawn and see if you can put a knight in front of the pawn. This goes when he has isolated queen, pawn, or on any other pawn. So, and here you have a perfect opportunity because you can go now. So your line of thinking would be, okay, he has isolated pawn. I want to have knight in front of this pawn. Can I bring the knight? How can I bring the knight? I mean, which routes? Okay, this is one route. And then you can see, okay, but I can bring it with tempo. So hitting the queen, and I'm already here. So this is why this move is good, because it brings the knight on the c4. But you somehow just forgot about this knight, and you kept it for a long time here.
Yeah.
And this is not good. So you should either progress or just put it back. Well, I mean, here at least you're controlling the center, and here it can only be a temporary, just a temporary, place to.
It should have been a stepping stone towards c4 with tempo. That would have made great sense.
Okay, queen to c2. But again, it's kind of mentality. So to be focused on pieces, to every time when there is not a tactical sequence, to look at your pieces one by one and see which is my worst place piece. So what is this piece doing? What is this piece doing? What is this piece doing? And then think about how to improve them. So always think about pieces. Don't spend much time thinking about pawns and other stuff. So okay, rook e8. Yeah, here also, okay, this is not a bad move, but I would prefer to do something about these pieces. They look more critical. Sorry, they look more critical to me. So, but okay. Rook fd1, g5. Okay, another pawn move. So this is why I don't like it. And This is not
And
just
it's a
pawn
pretty
move,
critical pawn move too, right?
weakening your king. Sorry.
That was a particularly critical pawn move
Yeah,
because it's part of my king
yeah.
defense.
So this pawn move is it's dubious because you are weakening your king now. So it's always something to be afraid of. So this you need to have a little bit sense of danger, because now you are putting yourself in danger. The queen is here and so on.
Yeah.
So this is not a good idea for this reason, but also for another reason. Like we are talking all the time. So think about pieces. So don't think about moving pawns when you have bad pieces, and you have this piece is bad, this is undeveloped, and this one is sleeping. So you need to think how to develop the bishop, and how to bring the rook to life, and how to improve your knight. And here is the ideal square. So here, and this one can go, I don't know, maybe here. Doesn't matter here or here. Okay, here no, because this is defended. Okay, but anyway, you should be thinking about these three guys and not about the G pawn, which is perfectly fine where it is. Okay, bishop to C1, bishop to E6.
And by the way, let me just point out, in this position, he's doing exactly the right thing regarding my isolated pawn. So I've got an isolated D pawn, and he's got his knight right in the square in front of it.
Yeah. So this is, and you can see how this knight is strong. This is the best piece in his position. He's totally making the pressure, and this knight was allowed by your pawn move. So you helped him to jump here. If you kept the tension, he would never be here.
Yeah.
So this is also something to keep in mind. Okay, bishop E6. Okay, good move. I mean, it's not actually okay. Let me just see. Bishop C, bishop. Let's see, C4. I'm just thinking that maybe better, because I'm thinking maybe here is a better move. Let's just see what the engine says. Here is plus 2, and here it would be like plus 1. Okay, so this is a better move. So why? Because here I'm thinking that this bishop is just they call it a tall pawn. So I mean, it's completely. It doesn't have any active place in the game. It's just connecting pawns. So this bishop is like a pawn. And if you put it here, it's a little bit more active. First of all, it's putting pressure on this on this pawn, which is now attacked twice. Could be nice. And secondly, you can put it here, and then, because now this diagonal is weak for you. You make it, you made it weak by your pawn moves. So if you could put your bishop here, then suddenly you are in control of this diagonal.
Wow.
So this is how, I mean, attacking and then improving. So this is how I would think about this. But okay.
So improving with tempo is another way to think about that, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's not really because it's defended enough times.
Yeah, it is defended twice. Okay.
Yeah, but it's a pressure. It's a pressure, and you're pinning this, the power moves. So pin is one of the power moves. So this is a power move because it makes a pin. So you're pinning, you're making pressure. He has to solve this problem. So you're giving him stuff to do. He has to think about solving this problem, this pin. So he has to either come back or attack. I mean, if he attacks, you can exchange, because this bishop is very strong. So you're making problems to him, and then always you can retreat, and then okay. So, but the good thing is that you're finally playing with pieces. Okay, so E3, queen D7. Okay, knight takes, queen takes. Okay.
So let's stop here for a sec. I remember thinking for a long time about which way to take, because I had the opportunity to connect my pawns if I took with the pawn, or
but this
to
check
grab.
here.
Yeah, that's what I saw. So
your light squares are very weak. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't take with the pawn. I could have taken with the rook, though, right?
You could take with the rook, yeah.
And then I'd at least be on that semi-open file. I could bring my other rook behind it and double up.
But the problem, I mean, this this file is not likely to be opened, because if you try to break, he has 2 pawns here, so you'll never be forced to open this file. So this file could be closed forever. So you want your rooks on the isolated pawn. You want your rooks here. So if you would take with the rook, this rook would probably go here and here to double up on this file. But then it's a little bit dangerous, because if your rook is here and then your bishop is extreme.
Right.
So I think the taking with queen is just the best choice here. Your queen is even a little bit improved. It's more centralized. You can come to defense here. So I think it's okay to take with the queen. Let's see. I think this is this is the best move. The second best is with the rook. Yeah. So it's okay. Rook b1. And now I don't understand this move, queen d7. So you have to. I mean, this queen is okay. You have 2 pieces which are not doing nothing. So this knight is on the rim, completely inactive, and this rook is completely inactive. So I would this is so natural move. You just activating the rook, pinning the pawn, and of course knight to c4 is probably the best move here.
Now, the only problem with knight to c4, though, is it leaves the b7 pawn hanging.
Oh, okay. Oh, this was your concern.
So I think that's what I was thinking at the time. I want to protect my d4, d5 pawn, and I want to double protect b7 so I can move my knight. And I thought the queen move would do both of those.
Okay, but generally speaking, when you have this kind of semi-open file, then usually you just want to close it by playing the b6. So I would play b6 here.
Yeah.
And then you are, then you don't have to worry. You will not be able. Then this rook suddenly is completely out of place. And also, what this does is it removes the pawn from b7. So for any potential attacks of the bishop, you don't have to worry about this either. So I think here, I didn't see this attack immediately. So I think here b6, and then later on move the rook, and then suddenly this bishop is shooting at nothing.
Yeah.
So I think, and this is very thematic. So when either G file or B file opens, then you just push the pawn, and then you are secure.
Yeah, instead of thinking about mobilizing super strong pieces to defend a pawn, move the pawn. That way, it's defended by a pawn.
Yeah, and they also say that the queen is the worst choice for the defender, because the queen is just so powerful that it's just a shame to.
Of course,
use it as a defense.
Yeah.
Okay. A4, A6. Yeah, now again playing with the pawns. Okay, it's not such a problem, but this would be better.
That's the wrong pawn to move.
Yeah. The bishop is okay. So
just shuffling my queen back and forth.
Yeah, so you're shuffling your queen, and still these pieces are doing nothing. So just as a mindset for the future. So try to focus on these pieces which are doing nothing. Okay, this is an exception here. You have to play a pawn move, but still you have to keep in mind. You have to be sorry to have to make this move, but okay, you have to make it because the position demands. But on the first opportunity, you want to do this. You want to have your pieces on the active squares. Yeah, so you're just going to and fro with your queen. Okay, I'm not sure I understand. Okay,
well, again, I'm just counting on the d5 square. He's now got 3 attackers.
Okay, but still, why not go with this rook? Which this rook doesn't do. It's doing nothing here, so maybe this rook would be more logical.
Yeah.
Just out of principle, just to make this rook do something, not sleep there. What does he want? Knight to e4. Okay, so this is of course very active move. Wow, hitting this one. I didn't use.
Right.
So
With
yeah,
the
centralized
spark and the
pieces
queen and
go
the
to
rook.
the- Yeah, so going forward with your pieces is always a good choice. Another one is knight c6, hitting the rook. This is also good, so improving this piece. So just if you are looking at the terms of improving pieces, so this piece can be improved, this piece can be improved. I mean, this is improvement, even though it goes backward, because here it doesn't do anything. So go here, hit the rook. He cannot take because he'll just lose the exchange. So you can improve this piece with tempo, or you can improve this piece also with tempo. So you have two moves which are both attacking moves. And you can also find these moves by using checks, captures, and threats. So see what threats can you make. So look at his undefended pieces. So his undefended pawn is here. So here you're hitting the pawn. And then you calculate and you see that this is a good move. And here also his rook is kind of exposed. So can you attack the rook? Yes, you can. So I think these two moves can be found. They're not very difficult.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, now you're going again.
More shuffle game.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, now he's putting you in. And here again, c4, knight c4 is the best move.
Oh my, that would be kind of a winning move. He can't possibly defend them both.
Yeah, I think it would. Yeah, it's -6. Yeah.
Jeez, that's a nice fork.
So all the time this c4 is calling you, this isolated pawn, this one, and now it's like he's almost begging you to play this move. And you're like, no, I will not play it.
Yeah, I've got a better idea. I'll move my pawn. Another pawn.
Yeah, move another pawn.
Oh man.
And I think still you can play c4 here, because if he takes, you can just I don't know.
Oh wow.
No.
Yeah.
It's not. It will be later on. I think you can. I think at some point you can still play it, because this will hang.
Notice that Stockfish thinks I'm way ahead here.
Yeah. Because you have some good resources. Let's see. So
But
yeah,
wait till you see.
knight c4. Let's see what happens here. Here, knight c4 again works. So if you take, queen e3 is a threat. Okay, and what then? Queen f2. Yeah, and now you're promoting the pawn. Yeah.
Oh my
So
god!
even here, knight c4 works, although you're pinned and this is covered. So this is so strong a move that it works. It works every time.
Wow.
So
Now this was by far the worst, awfulest move.
Yeah, you lost here a lot. Yeah, so for -5 to.
Because I realized afterwards that he could.
You could check here.
Now, why does that work again? I saw it working before, but I don't get it now.
Because this is pinned.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I can take the rook, but then he's got the queen.
Take the rook and he just takes the queen. Yeah.
Right. Thank God he didn't.
What was your idea? Was probably something like this, or?
Yeah, exactly. I was going to reroute the knight.
So let's think about this. So you have a complicated maneuver to improve this knight a little bit. So this knight here would be just slightly better than this knight here. And on the other hand, you have these two terrible pieces which are obviously. So why waste 3 moves to slightly improve piece which is already good? So of all your pieces, this piece makes most sense.
Yeah.
It's defending the king, it's hitting the center. So this piece makes perfect sense. So instead of fixing something which ain't broken, you should improve these guys here.
Yeah.
Here. I mean, you have plenty of options. Just improve these guys. So I think you get the mentality I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, now knight c6. Okay, now he's giving. Okay, yeah,
Again, he's got the discovered
yeah,
attack on the
yeah.
queen.
And this just went for a long time. So I mean, how many moves? Okay, so here. So you shouldn't allow this kind of dangerous pins to last for long. You have to do something about this. Either challenge the rook right away, or challenge it here. You have to challenge this rook, or you have to move your queen. Oh, sorry, you have to move your queen somewhere safe.
Yeah.
You cannot allow this for a long time, because sooner or later it will hit you in the head.
Yeah.
So for too many moves, yeah, like 6 moves, you allowed
Mhm.
this. Yeah, and he had this check. Just taking the queen.
And he
Okay.
also had the pawn on h6.
Which
Mm.
one? Oh yeah,
He could have taken
yeah,
h6,
yeah, of
right?
course, yeah. Okay, so
Mm.
why did you exchange queens here? I mean, if you would have any chance of winning or drawing, it would be with your queen.
I
So
know. I know. I think
you're a piece down, so you need your queen to either give a checkmate or to give perpetual check. Once you give up your queen, you basically given up all the drawing chances here. So
it seemed I was running out of options. I mean, where I guess queen to d8 would be the thing to do.
he's even saying that it's better to give the queen for 2 pieces, but let's say that, yeah,
Wow.
queen to, yeah, actually you don't have much choices, yeah.
Although
Yeah,
that's not so bad because I do have my rook backing it up.
yeah, you don't have a choice actually here. I mean, wherever you go, he can capture it. So this is almost the best move. Second best move, okay, because you don't have any other choices. Okay, so
Hmm.
it's kind of forced. Okay, now he's just playing with a piece up, and I don't think he gave you any choices here. Okay, I think you had one opportunity, tactical maybe. Okay. Yeah, this was a fork, but it doesn't matter at this point.
Right, right.
You realize this, but yeah.
Yeah, it was
I mean,
too late at that point.
yeah, the knight is too slow. You cannot stop 3 forks. Okay,
Huh.
so I think you got the idea of the things you have to change. So be more focused on your pieces. Look for the pieces which are not good. Avoid the pawn moves. Just try to keep your pieces activated, and you'll see how the then tactical opportunities and everything will be. They'll just come by, and it will be
Yeah.
easier to play. I think it's. I have a feeling that it was very difficult to play this position, because you are
Yeah.
struggling to finding any good move, and then But when your pieces are active, then it's very easy to find good moves.
I felt like I was on the defensive the entire game.
Yeah.
And like you say, I'm constantly looking for some good move. But if my pieces aren't mobilized, how am I going to
Yeah.
find good moves?
Yeah.
Uh, yeah,
Okay.
all right. I see. In retrospect, I get it.
And I mean, almost everything I told you now, you could have figured it yourself, because it's not some new knowledge. Maybe only this pawn tension, maybe this was new for you. But everything else I told you, you already know this. So this is why you should analyze the games using your knowledge. Okay, should we go to the other one?
Yeah, just one question that I can't really expect you to answer, but I guess the question I have is, you're absolutely right. 9/10 of the bad moves I made were moves I absolutely could have and should have known. And the question is, why? It's like the ancient question of the
Yeah.
adult improver.
Yeah.
Why did I do that?
Yeah, it's just a lack of skill. I think it's this knowledge versus skill. So you have the knowledge, and you need to use this knowledge to develop a skill. and you are in this process right now. And I think with analyzing your games can help you in that, so that you can just be aware of the things you did wrong and which you did you shouldn't have done, and then well it just comes with practice. So
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we're going to see a bunch more in this game.
yeah, okay, this game is not so. I mean he got you in the opening trap, and then you just struggled to survive. So
And then he just dropped a rook for no good reason.
he dropped a
Like,
rook, and yeah, and then he had doubled pawns. So let's go through this quickly. Yeah, here we play the London. Okay, I mean you know how to play the London, so it's yeah, this is very important. So to keep e pawn, so not c pawn. So here, if you play c pawn, it will be a mistake because then you will open this diagonal. And
right.
you know this. You had the game in which
I've done that before. Yeah.
yeah. So e3 is the move. Knight c6, c3. Okay, big move pyramid. Okay, now here he's attacking your pawn. So
I've looked at this since then, and my current thinking is I should just respond with queen to b3. Just allow the trade if he wants to trade, um, because almost anything else is weakening. I could do b3, push the pawn, but that weakens the pawn chain on the dark squares. I could move queen to c2, which I think that might be what I did. No, I did
queen b3. I will play queen c. I will play queen c2 probably here, or I would even consider playing this knight to a3 because I like this square. So giving up this pawn, and then I think jump here.
But now, oh.
So his queen is almost trapped, and you are
that,
threatening this.
And that covers c3, huh?
It covers c3, and that covers this square. So he cannot move his queen. So his queen is out of the play, and your knight is threatening here. So I think he has to move the king. Let's see. Knight to e.
That's kind of a Joe Bava. That's the old Joe Bava move.
Yeah.
Huh.
Queen to f5. Yeah, he has to allow this. I mean, okay, he has some active moves here and here, so it's very sharp. But this is one way, just to give the. I mean, many people will say that you should never take the b2 pawn. So even if he gives you, if you play like this, that you should not take the pawn because it wastes just too much, because this queen has to come back, and then you waste 3-4 tempi to grab this pawn, and the game goes on in the center, and this queen is out of play. So you can consider to give this pawn just sometimes for fun to see how it goes. So, but okay, so you play this queen to b3, and then he played c4, queen c2.
So that was my mistake. I think I should have traded queens here.
Yeah, although the engine says queen c2 is okay, but yeah, I never saw. I have to say I never saw this trap. So this is new. This motive is new for me. Although I did play London a lot, but I never met this.
So yeah, because if I take the bishop,
cannot take because he takes, and then the rook falls. So yeah. So this is I mean, this is the trap which you just fell for. It's not easy to see that he can attack the queen with undefended piece, and you cannot take back. So yeah, queen c2, or yeah, if you want to avoid it, you could just play queen takes. But although here engine says you're fine, so just play. How
do I defend against that bishop? I just move the queen.
Yeah, and keep this one, and now continue your normal London game.
Yeah. I wonder if I should have moved to c8 in the first place, right? Because I moved my queen like 25 times already.
Yeah.
would it have been a good move to just move to
Here,
C8
C1
originally?
to C1. Yeah, yeah. This
Oh,
is
sorry, C1.
yeah. So the engine says these are two best moves.
Hmm.
Because usually when you are white, you don't want to exchange queens because you should be playing for a win, for advantage, and so on. And once you give up the queens, then everything is equal. So usually as a white, you're not looking for trading queens. So this is why the engine says these two moves. But yeah, this is actually queen c1 is it doesn't have this threat. So.
Right.
Okay, but I have another. Okay, I mean this is still fine. But now you are giving this.
You're right.
So this is where these checks, captures, and threats can help. So when the position becomes sharp, so you cannot obviously do this in every move, but this position is very sharp already because he has many forward moves here to make. So you need to check.
And even going back half a move before his bishop move, it's not that difficult to realize my queen is the only thing defending b2
Yeah,
and then losing the rook. So if I move my queen away from that rank, it could be big trouble. So anything he can do to move my queen away would be good. And there's the bishop
yeah. So
ready
this
to
is
see
why
the job.
these threats, checks, captures, and threats, you should always begin asking yourself, can he attack my queen? So if you move the queen, especially if you are moving the queen, then you should think, okay, if I move the queen to this place, can he attack it? So if you move the queen, can he somehow attack it? Yes, he can, and then you need to calculate this. So and you should have done this here also because now he can attack.
Yeah.
And also here, so you want to move your queen on the square in which she cannot be attacked. So if you go here, like you did, it can be attacked. If you go here, it can be attacked. And you have to keep the eye on the b2 square. So this is the only move. So queen cannot be attacked, and it's guarding the pawn. So just look. Can he attack my queen? Okay. So this now okay, and now you went back, and now you forgot about this pawn.
Yeah.
So okay, he first took this, and here in this kind of positions, you always want to take with the king, because obviously you will not be able to castle. So you want to keep the king off the center lines. You want to keep the king of these center lines. So here you want to take with the king. And this is also this King's Gambit, which Judith Polgar played a lot. So she would play King's Gambit like e4, f4, sorry, e4, f4, and then she would bring out the bishop, and she would allow the check. And then she would bring the king to f1, and she was like, okay, my king is completely safe on f1, I don't care about castling them. So king is pretty safe here on f1, so.
Wow.
This is what you want to do. Okay, and here, okay, now, yeah, this cannot be avoided. I just wanted to stress one more position. Okay, yeah, you are allowing him to attack your queen. So here you're just allowing the attacks. So you should think if, Okay. There is one more.
Now, wasn't that a mistake that he just made? Didn't he lose an opportunity to? No, I guess not.
No, it's fine. He's developing the piece. He's bringing the last piece in the game.
But he had his knight on my rook, but I guess he couldn't have taken because I had his queen.
What do you mean before?
Like right here, yeah, he's got the fork. I had to move it out of the way.
Yeah.
But he couldn't take because I would take his queen.
So yeah, he's bringing the last piece. Okay, now again, this pawn move I don't like because I think knight e5 is the move here. No, it's bishop e5. Just to remember. Okay.
Oh, so here's where he lost his rook.
So here again, I think you're playing too prophylactic. So you're again playing the h3 move. I don't see any danger of his. I mean, okay, with h3 you are preparing the square for the bishop, which I don't need. I don't think that bishop needs, and you're also taking the g4 square, which I mean, if the knight plays here, you can just kick it away. So I think here I would look for this kind of moves, forward moves, just to try to dislodge this knight. So this knight is very dangerous and unpleasant. So I would look here. Maybe it's not the best move, but I would naturally look for this kind of moves, just to to improve my piece and to try to attack this knight, because this knight cannot be attacked by your bishop, because you don't have light square bishop, so you have to attack it with your knight. So you should play either here or here to attack this knight, and this is a forward move, so this is better move. So this is what I would do. I would not play with the pawn.
We're already at seven pawns down, 8 now.
Yeah.
Oh boy! God, he blundered an entire rook, and he's still
the rook. Okay, and now very important.
Right, so now I'm up by 5 pawns. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, you came back. Okay, now I lost 2 over the board games for this reason. So once you are this is, I think, the most important lesson for this game. So once you are up in material and you are winning, you have better position, better material, everything. The only question you need to ask yourself, if he somehow wins this game, if he wants to win this game, how can he win? What does he have in the position which can allow him to win the game if I have a bad play?
And the answer is a passed pawn on the C file, right?
Yeah. So
and on the B file.
So these pawns, so these 3 pawns, which run against your 1 pawn. So this is his only chance of victory.
Yeah.
And you should be. This is what Dan Heisman he says. Think defensively. So this means not play passive, but think defensively in the case. So your main goal in this position is to stop these pawns, because this is the only chance he has, and he will just go for all or nothing, and he'll just go forward with these pawns. So this should be your focus. So every time you are up a material better position, you should ask yourself, what is the best, what is the only plan? So usually your opponent has only one resource. It's either a passed pawn or some mating threat, back rank weakness. So if you have a back rank weakness, immediately make a luft, just to remove this only one chance he has of victory. Right. So this will be your strategy here. So okay, knight e5 finally. Okay, he's exchanging pieces. Okay, and here also I think you should have taken this guy. Yeah, obviously, because this is coming. So you have to think about these pawns advancing. So if you take this knight like this, then he's locking his bishop here, and he's advancing his pawn further. So just by looking at these pawns and their possibility to advance, you should play this, because now
once he locks his bishop on D2 with a pawn on C3, it's going to be close to impossible to stop his B pawn from advancing, and then creating these double passed pawns that are going to kill me.
Yeah. So
I should have thought that when I had a chance to take away the bishop.
Yeah. Or just think about, can he advance the pawn? So does this move allow him to advance the pawn? No.
And that's what I was worried about, but obviously no. Yeah. I could just take the knight. If he advances it again, I can take the pawn.
Yeah.
So in other words, he wouldn't have enough time to bring the B pawn down.
Yeah, B is too far.
If I'd counted correctly. Yeah.
Yeah. So this allows him the pawn advancement. Okay, and now another lesson. So once you realize that this is dangerous, and the only chance he has of winning is these pawns. So I think here, I don't know if this is engine move, but from the human perspective, I would just sacrifice this rook. And now he has no counterplay, and you're still a piece up. And you have just taken, I mean, you have stolen all his dreams here. He cannot
Can we
now.
take a look at the evaluation in this position?
Yeah, it's +5.
Wow.
It's fine.
And what about before? Just a couple of before I made the sacrifice.
+7. Okay, but I mean, you're not the computer, so
Yeah, right.
so as from a human perspective, you want to take away. You want to take his hope away. It's also psychological, because once you do this, here he has a fighting spirit. He has some plans, he has some hope, and he has some dreams. And after you do this, I mean, what can he hope for here?
Right.
He's now completely hopeless. And you'll just bring your rook here, stopping this pawn. This knight can jump here. This bishop is very active. I mean, what can he do here?
Right.
He'll probably, I mean, if this is over the board game, he'll probably resign. If this is like a 3 hour, after 3 hours you do this, he'll just resign, because it's obvious that he doesn't have any counterplay. But here he still does have. I mean, this pawn is only two squares away. If he manages to connect these pawns, then he has something to hope for.
Yeah.
So I think this is the lesson. Although you will not see this move in the computer. Yeah. So if you analyze with the engine will not tell you this move.
What does he want me to do in this position?
I don't know, king e2. Yeah, but this is because he sees 15 moves ahead, and then I mean, computer is not afraid of this because he calculates everything 20 moves ahead, and it's okay. But from the human perspective, I think any master level player would just take this, and okay, now it's easy.
The other move I was thinking, I mean, I'm thinking of it now. I don't think I saw it during the game. If I moved a4, that would. Now he's only got a dark squared bishop, so that
this is also
one is safe.
Mhm.
And now that pretty much stops him from bringing his b pawn down.
Yeah, this is also.
And if he does try to bring the, well, no. I was going to say I could always put my knight on c5, protecting that pawn, but that's not going to work.
Yeah. So okay, so let's just wrap it up. So okay, yeah, here.
Oh yeah,
just, yeah, no problem. So just one more. Okay, so he's fighting for the counterplay. Okay, you took here again. You could have taken this. Okay. Yeah, and now it's very dangerous.
Yeah.
Because he has two connected pawns, and the rook alone cannot stop it. So the only way you could, I mean, this is winning for him, but generally, but in this particular position, no, because he has a back rank weakness, and this pawn is pinned. So there is, I mean, if this rook is like here and this pawn is here, then probably it's just a game over. I mean, you are losing here. But here you can see that this pawn is pinned. It's not only pinned because he'll lose the rook, but he'll also get checkmated.
Right.
So you can count on this pawn being pinned, and the only move which saves you here is rook c1. So he cannot advance this pawn. So if he advances this pawn, you can just attack it because this is pinned.
Wow.
I mean, it's difficult to find, but
yeah.
But this is the only move which saves you, and this is because you know.
It's not only seeing the backward rook move, but also seeing rook to b2 afterwards. Wow.
Yeah. So this, and now you are and now you are stopping the pawns. Because one rook cannot stop pawns on the 6th rank, but 2 rooks can if other stuff are. So yeah. So here we just connected pawns, and yeah. Okay, and now you even now you had to sacrifice the whole rook, and now you are even in material, and yeah. He's now just winning because he's up a pawn, and
Yeah, yeah. And in the end, there was no way I could
yeah, it's just
stop him.
was gone.
All right, I get it, Luca.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
I hope that you got some useful advices from these games.
A lot of examples of mistake number 2,
Yeah.
type 2 mistake. It's very embarrassing to run through a game like that.
Yeah.
All right, well, good stuff.
Yeah.
And I'll see you next week, right? Same
Next
time.
week, same time. Yeah. Okay.
Great. All
Okay.
right, be
You.
well. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.